Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of AIC TV. I'm Edward Carr, your host, and with me today in the studio, I have Edward Flaherty. Ed is a member of our AIC Executive Committee. He's a long-term member of the American International Club of Geneva, and he is the 2014 President-elect. Ed, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Ed. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. So, Ed, most of the members of the American International Club know you quite well. But as the incoming president-elect, for some of the members out there watching that maybe don't know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
I'm an American lawyer. I've been here in Geneva for almost 20 years. I was a commercial lawyer before I came, and now I'm doing a lot of representation of people who work for international organizations.
Okay, wow. So what brought you to Geneva originally, Ed?
I was a trailing spouse, the proverbial trailing spouse. My wife took a job here, and I jumped right on and she said, do you want to move to Europe? And I said, when do I leave? So it worked out very well.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know that you are one of the founding partners and senior associate with your own law firm, Schwab, Flaherty and Associates.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about that. What's your firm and what specific areas do you practice?
Well, I'm an American lawyer. I'm not a Swiss lawyer, but I'm registered with the Ordre des Avocats here in Geneva as a foreign qualified lawyer. My partners are Swiss. They do a full range of Swiss law things, corporate, any type of Swiss law, landlord, tenant, all types of things like that. Mm-hmm. My practice is much more focused on, as I said, representing people who work for international organizations. When they have employment disputes, if they have an issue of not being promoted, if they get injured at work, that type of thing. And it's a very specialized area of law because the international organizations, as you may know, are immune from the local laws, so they have their own legal systems, and that's where I practice.
Right. So international organizations is the perfect area to do it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So you've built this practice over the years of being in Geneva.
Yes. And I have clients predominantly here in Geneva, but also in New York, Vienna, Nairobi, other parts of Africa, where the UN and other international organizations have a lot of installations. So it's quite diverse. It's quite very interesting. Very different from the practice I had for 10 years in Boston as a commercial lawyer.
Fascinating. And Ed, you've been a long-term member of the American International Club. When did you actually join the club? I
actually joined the club before I came to Geneva. I was living in Paris. We were about to come to Geneva. My wife, her firm had been merged with a firm here in Geneva from Paris, and so I got on then I looked, we didn't have the internet as much, so I had to use paper resources, and I found an old club member, Frank Peel, who was also an American lawyer, who was here for 30 years, and I called Frank up and said, I'm an American lawyer, I'm moving to Geneva, what do you suggest? And he said, join the American Club. If you want to network, information, it's the place to be. It's the as he said, and which it still is, it's the preeminent English language club in Geneva. It was then, and I believe it still is now.
Yep, it really is amazing. Frank Peel, one of our old members, who actually introduced me to the club was Bob Posey.
Wow.
So another old member. I met Bob out at the World Trade Center, and same thing. I said, how do I get in touch with some local Americans? And he said, join the club.
Yeah, well, Bob and Frank used to have a very friendly and healthy competition for signing up new members. And Frank's gone back, I think, to the U.S., but I think Bob's still around.
Yeah, he is. So what roles have you had at the club, Ed?
Well, I was brought on by one of the former club presidents, Janet Voot, the first woman president of the club back in 2001 to be the membership chair. I'd been a member since 1995, but I hadn't been involved in the management of the club, and Janet said, would you come and help us? Partly because a lot of my client base was in the international organizations, and the club wanted to expand its own membership base. So I said, sure. And that was 2001, and I served for 7 years as membership chair. And then I sort of stepped back a bit. Was just on the committee for a while, and then 2 years ago I became a vice president and was in charge of membership benefits.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And now moving in, you're the incoming president-elect for 2014. We'll have our annual general meeting on December 6th, where you certainly have my vote.
Thank you.
So I know
that's good.
Yeah, I know you'll be elected and confirmed. What are some of your big challenges and issues that you see going forward in your presidency?
Well, like many social clubs in Geneva, a lot that depend on international people, members. Many of the international companies now are not sending expats. Mm-hmm. So, the American International Club has American roots, but the focus now is on the international. So we have close to 800 members, of which 40 from 45 different nationalities. The Americans make up a much smaller percentage than they did when the club was formed 60 odd years ago. So getting members and getting them to understand that it's not, you don't have to be an American to join. The roots are American, but the club itself today is international, and we do many different things. We do a lot of American things, like our upcoming Thanksgiving dinner. We do the big 4th of July party, the American Independence Day. Every 4 years we do the presidential election. So those are absolutely part of our American roots, but we also do a lot of sporting events. We do incredibly interesting speakers, as you know, from all over the globe and in many different areas: politics, culture, international organizations, business. So we continue to expand. But long answer to your short question is finding members and getting them to appreciate what the club does and what it has to offer.
Great. And we already have an exciting schedule lined up for 2014.
Absolutely. In January, we have the former president of the Swiss Confederation, Micheline Cami-Ray, Emery Vec.
And February?
Yep, from Lombard Odier.
Yep, some new U.S. ambassadors will be coming in.
Yeah, Peter Maurer, the Secretary General of the International Red Cross here in Geneva.
Yep, very exciting. Yeah. So where do people get more details? How can they find information?
First and foremost, they can go to our website, www.amclub.ch, or if they're interested, perhaps they can come to one of our events. They'll find that on the website, and if they do see an event, although it is a club, you have to be a member to come. Call the club, send an email to me, and I'm happy to try to introduce people to the club itself. That would be no problem. We're very welcoming, very open. We're a big part of our work is networking and putting people together from all different walks of life here in Geneva.
Yep, great. Ed, thank you so much for coming by, Ed, sharing some time with us. I look forward to staying involved with the club and on the executive committee going forward. Yeah.
That's great, Ed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Edward Carr, your host. You heard it right here. Our new incoming president of the American International Club, Edward Flaherty. 2014 is going to be another exciting year for the club. Please stay tuned in the future for more interviews. Thank you.